Jake Morrison sat in his chair at the monitoring station, drinking his third cup of coffee that night. The screens around him showed empty space, just like they had for the past 6 months. He worked at Deep Space Monitoring Station Omega 7, floating far beyond Pluto. His job was simple: watch for anything unusual coming toward Earth. The station was small, with only 12 people working there. Jake had volunteered for this assignment because it paid well and gave him time to read books. Most nights were quiet. Ships from Earth's colonies passed by sometimes, but they always sent signals first. Tonight felt different somehow. At exactly 2:47 a.m. station time, every alarm on Jake's console started screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. His coffee cup fell to the floor as he jumped up to check the readings. The numbers on his screen made no sense. Energy signatures were appearing at the edge of the solar system, but these were massive. Bigger than anything he had ever seen. "Computer, run diagnostics on all sensors," Jake said quickly. "All sensors working normally," the computer replied. Jake's hands shook as he adjusted the long-range scanners. What he saw made his stomach drop. Ships were appearing out of nowhere, hundreds of them, then thousands. They were huge, each one the size of a city. The computer counted them as they materialized: 5,000, then 7,000, then 10,000 alien warships. "Holy shit," Jake whispered. He immediately opened a communication channel to Earth Defense Command. Admiral Lisa Carter answered within seconds. She was a tough woman in her 50s who had been protecting Earth for 20 years. "Morrison, what's your status?" Admiral Carter asked. "Ma'am, we have a problem. A big problem. 10,000 unknown ships just appeared at the solar system's edge. They're not human ships, and they're not sending any identification signals." Admiral Carter was quiet for a moment. "Are you certain of these numbers, Morrison?" "Yes, ma'am. Computer confirms 10,000 ships, each approximately 2 kilometers long. They're arranged in attack formation and moving toward the inner system." Within an hour, the alien ships sent a message to Earth. The transmission was in broken English, as if someone had learned the language poorly. "Primitive beings of the third planet," the message began. "We are the Zephyrian Empire. We have traveled across many stars to claim your world. You will surrender immediately or face destruction. We have conquered 847 worlds. Your resistance is pointless. You have 72 hours to respond." Jake listened to the message with growing fear. These aliens sounded serious, and they had conquered hundreds of worlds. Earth had never faced anything like this before. Admiral Carter's voice came through the communication system. "Morrison, maintain your position and keep monitoring. Do not engage under any circumstances." "Understood, ma'am," Jake replied. On Earth, emergency meetings began immediately. Dr. Kevin Hayes, Earth's top expert on alien life, studied the transmission carefully. He was a thin man with gray hair who had spent his whole career hoping to meet aliens. Now that it was happening, he felt more worried than excited. The language pattern suggests they learned human speech from old radio and television broadcasts, Dr. Hayes told the Emergency Council. "They're trying to sound intimidating, but their grammar is terrible." "What about their technology?" Admiral Carter asked. Dr. Hayes looked at his data. "Based on their ship designs and energy readings, I estimate they're about 200 years behind our current technology. They're still using fusion drives for movement and basic plasma weapons for combat." The room fell silent. Everyone knew that Earth's real technology was far more advanced than what most people realized. For 50 years, humanity had been secretly developing incredible weapons and ships. The public knew nothing about it. President Catherine Webb spoke up. "Do we maintain the facade, or do we show them what we're really capable of?" "I recommend we let them come closer," said General Ryan Brooks, a large man with scars on his face from old battles. "If they think we're primitive, they'll be careless. That gives us the advantage." Admiral Carter nodded. "I agree. We'll prepare our real defenses while making it look like we're panicking." Back at the monitoring station, Jake watched the alien fleet move slowly through space. They were taking their time, probably thinking that Earth couldn't hurt them. The lead ships were sending out scanning beams, studying human satellites and space stations. They're looking at our communication satellites, Jake reported to Admiral Carter. Good, she replied. Let them look. They have no idea what they're really seeing. The truth was that Earth satellites were not what they appeared to be. What looked like simple communication devices were actually powerful weapons platforms hidden in plain sight. The aliens saw primitive technology because that's what humanity wanted them to see. Dr. Hayes continued studying the alien transmissions. They're incredibly arrogant, he told his team. Their messages suggest they've never encountered serious resistance. Every world they've attacked has surrendered quickly. That's going to be their mistake, Admiral Carter said grimly. As the hours passed, more alien ships appeared. Jake counted 12,000, then 15,000 total vessels. The fleet was enormous, bigger than anything in human history. But Admiral Carter didn't seem worried. If anything, she looked almost eager. Morrison, Admiral Carter said over the communication channel, I want you to record everything that happens in the next few days. This is going to be historic. Ma'am, are you sure we can handle this many ships? Jake asked. Admiral Carter smiled, though Jake couldn't see it through the audio connection. Son, these aliens have no idea what humanity is capable of. They think they're hunting sheep, but they're about to discover they've cornered a pack of wolves. The alien fleet continued its slow approach toward Earth. Their ships moved in perfect formation, like they had done this 1,000 times before. They probably had. But this time would be different. In the deepest parts of space, hidden human ships began moving into position. On Earth, weapons that the public had never heard of started charging up. The trap was being set, and the aliens were walking right into it. Jake Morrison sat at his station, watching the biggest invasion force in galactic history approach his home world. He had no idea that in just a few days, he would witness the most one-sided battle in the history of the universe. President Catherine Webb walked quickly through the halls of the Emergency Meeting Center in Geneva. Her security team had to hurry to keep up with her. She had called together the most important leaders from every nation on Earth. They all knew something big was happening, but most of them had no idea how big. The meeting room was filled with presidents, prime ministers, and generals from around the world. Everyone looked worried. They had all heard about the alien fleet approaching Earth. Most of them thought humanity was doomed. Thank you all for coming so quickly, President Webb said as she took her seat. General Brooks will now brief you on our situation. General Ryan Brooks stood up and pressed a button on his remote control. The large screen behind him showed the alien fleet moving through space. Ladies and gentlemen, we face an invasion force of approximately 15,000 alien warships. They call themselves the Zephyrian Empire, and they have given us 72 hours to surrender. Several leaders started talking at once, their voices filled with panic. How can we possibly fight that many ships? Asked the British Prime Minister. Do we even have weapons that can hurt them? Asked the German Chancellor. General Brooks raised his hand for silence. That brings me to the real purpose of this meeting. There are things about Earth's defenses that most of you don't know. Things that have been kept secret for 50 years. President Webb nodded to General Brooks to continue. Commander Turner, please join us, General Brooks said. A man in a strange uniform entered the room. Commander Alex Turner looked to be in his 40s, with short gray hair and bright blue eyes. His uniform was black with silver markings that no one in the room recognized. Commander Turner leads our real space defense force, General Brooks explained. Alex, please tell them what we're actually dealing with. Commander Turner stepped forward. Ladies and gentlemen, humanity achieved faster-than-light travel in 1975. We have been traveling between stars for 50 years. We currently have colonies in 12 different star systems. The room erupted in shocked voices. Several leaders stood up from their chairs. That's impossible, shouted the French president. We would know about this. Commander Turner smiled calmly. We have been very careful to keep it secret. Only a few dozen people in each government know the truth. Your space programs, your rocket launches, your International Space Station, they're all real, but they're also cover stories. He pressed a button on his own remote. The screen showed images of massive space stations and sleek ships that looked nothing like anything the public had ever seen. This is Deep Space Command Station Alpha, Commander Turner explained. It's located between Earth and Mars, but it's completely invisible to normal sensors. We have 17 such stations throughout the solar system. Why keep this secret? Asked the Japanese Prime Minister. Because we learned early that the galaxy is a dangerous place, Commander Turner replied. There are hundreds of alien species out there. Most of them are peaceful, but some, like the Zephyrians, are conquerors. By appearing primitive, we avoided attracting their attention. Admiral Carter entered the room and walked to the front. Until now, she said, the Zephyrians have finally noticed Earth, but they have no idea what they're walking into. She took control of the presentation. The screen now showed weapons that looked like they belonged in science fiction movies. This is a quantum disruptor cannon, Admiral Carter explained. It can destroy a ship the size of their largest vessel in a single shot. We have over 300 of these weapons positioned around Earth. And this, she continued, showing another image, is a temporal shield generator. It can make our ships completely invisible and untouchable. Enemy weapons pass right through us, as if we don't exist. The Russian president leaned forward. How is any of this possible? Our scientists say such technology is centuries away. Dr. Kevin Hayes stood up from his seat. That's because you don't know about the Mars discovery, he said quietly. What Mars discovery? Asked President Webb. Dr. Hayes looked nervous. In 1969, our first secret mission to Mars found something. The ruins of an ancient alien city, buried under the polar ice cap. Inside, we found technology that was millions of years old. The room fell completely silent. We've been studying and improving that technology ever since, Dr. Hayes continued. We learned how to build faster-than-light engines, energy weapons, and defensive systems that are beyond anything the current galactic powers possess. Commander Turner brought up a new image. These are our actual warships, he said. The screen showed ships that were beautiful and deadly, with smooth curves and no visible weapons. The EAS Invisible Hand is our newest battleship, Commander Turner explained. It's 3 kilometers long and carries enough firepower to destroy a planet. We have 47 ships like this one. 47 ships against 15,000? Asked the Canadian Prime Minister. Admiral Carter smiled. Sir, one of our ships could destroy their entire fleet. But we're not just talking about ships. We have weapons platforms hidden throughout the solar system. We have particle beam satellites that look like communication devices. We have gravitational wave generators disguised as asteroids. General Brooks took control again. The aliens think they're invading a primitive world. They see our cities, our obvious military bases, our simple rockets, and they assume we're helpless. They have no idea that Earth is the most heavily defended planet in the galaxy. So, what's our plan? Asked President Webb. We let them come, Admiral Carter said. We let them think they're winning right up until the moment we destroy them. Complete annihilation. We want to send a message to every other aggressive species in the galaxy. Earth is not to be touched. Commander Turner brought up a tactical display. The aliens will enter our atmosphere in approximately 60 hours. We will allow their lead ships to descend to about 100 kilometers above the surface. Then we activate the defense grid. How long will the battle last? Asked the British Prime Minister. Battle. Admiral Carter laughed. Sir, this won't be a battle. This will be an execution. I estimate we'll destroy their entire fleet in under 10 minutes. Dr. Hayes looked worried. Are we sure we want to be so aggressive? Maybe we should try to communicate first? They've already communicated, General Brooks said firmly. They demanded our surrender and threatened to destroy us. That's all the communication we need. President Webb stood up. I need to know right now, are all of you willing to authorize the use of our real military? This will change everything. Once we reveal our capabilities, we can never go back to pretending we're primitive. One by one, every leader in the room voted yes. Then it's decided, President Webb said. Commander Turner, Admiral Carter, prepare for Operation Revelation. Show these aliens exactly what humanity is capable of. As the meeting ended, the leaders filed out quietly. Most of them were still in shock about what they had learned. Earth wasn't a helpless planet waiting to be conquered. It was a technological superpower that had been hiding its strength for 50 years. The trap was set. The aliens were coming, expecting an easy victory. Instead, they were about to face the most advanced military force in the galaxy. Supreme War Commander Thex 9 stood on the bridge of his massive flagship, the Star Destroyer. The ship was 2.5 kilometers long and carried enough firepower to level a continent. Around him, his officers worked at their stations, preparing for what they expected to be another easy conquest. Thex 9 was proud of his record. In his 40 years of service to the Zephyrian Empire, he had conquered 847 worlds. He had never faced a species that could resist his fleet for more than a few hours. Most planets surrendered as soon as they saw his ships approaching. Status report, Thex 9 commanded in his deep, growling voice. All ships are in formation, Supreme War Commander, replied his second-in-command, Subcommander Vex 4. We will reach the primitive planet in 30 hours. Thex 9 looked at the tactical display showing Earth. It was a beautiful blue and green world, perfect for Zephyrian colonization. His scouts had been watching this planet for months, and everything they saw confirmed that humans were a weak, primitive species. What do we know about their defenses? Vex 9 asked. Vex 4 checked his data pad. Very limited, Supreme War Commander. They have small rockets that barely leave their atmosphere. Their largest weapons are chemical explosives. They have many satellites around their planet, but these appear to be for communication only. And their military strength? Pathetic, Vex 4 replied with a laugh. They still fight wars with projectile weapons and small aircraft. Their ships cannot even reach their nearest moon without great effort. We estimate complete victory within 2 hours of engagement. Thex 9 nodded with satisfaction. This would be another easy addition to the Empire. His fleet would destroy any resistance, capture the survivors for slave labor, and claim this beautiful world for the Zephyrian people. Far away from the alien fleet, hidden in the darkness of space, Captain Nicole Stevens watched everything through her ship's advanced sensors. Her vessel, the Silent Guardian, was completely invisible to Zephyrian technology. The aliens had no idea they were being watched. Their formation is sloppy, reported Lieutenant Danny Martinez from the sensor station. They're not even running active scans for threats. Captain Stevens nodded. They're overconfident. 40 years of easy victories will do that to you. The Silent Guardian was one of Earth's newest stealth ships. It was only 800 meters long, but it carried technology that the Zephyrians couldn't even imagine. Captain Stevens had been following the alien fleet for 3 days, learning everything about their capabilities. What's your assessment of their weapons? Captain Stevens asked her tactical officer. Primitive plasma cannons and particle beams, replied Lieutenant Sarah Kim. Their strongest weapons are roughly equivalent to what we were using in 2150. Our shields could probably stop their entire fleet's combined firepower. And their ships? Heavy and slow. Their fastest vessels move at about half the speed of our cargo ships. Their armor is thick but basic metal composites. Our quantum torpedoes would go through them, like paper. Captain Stevens smiled grimly. These aliens have no idea what they're walking into. Back on the Zephyrian flagship, Thex 9 was reviewing intelligence reports about Earth. The information made him even more confident about the coming victory. Look at this, he said to Vex 4, pointing at images of human cities. They live in primitive structures made of metal and stone. Their vehicles move on wheels along the ground. They burn fossil fuels for energy. This species is barely out of their tribal stage. What about their space program? Vex 4 asked. Laughable, Thex 9 replied. They occasionally send small rockets to a tiny station orbiting their planet. It takes them months to transport a few individuals. Their largest spacecraft carries maybe 10 people at most. The alien commander looked at more data. They do have many satellites, but these are obviously for communication and weather monitoring. Typical for a primitive species trying to coordinate their simple technology. If Thex 9 had known the truth about those satellites, he would have turned his fleet around immediately. What looked like communication devices were actually the most advanced weapons platforms in the galaxy. Each one contained enough firepower to destroy several of his ships. Supreme War Commander, called the Navigation Officer, we are approaching the outer edge of their detection range. Excellent, Thex-9 replied. Begin standard intimidation protocol. Let them see our full strength. The Zephyrian fleet spread out into attack formation. 15,000 massive warships arranged themselves in a pattern designed to inspire terror in their enemies. It had worked on every other species they had encountered. On Earth, monitoring stations tracked every movement of the alien fleet. Jake Morrison at Deep Space Station Omega-7 watched the aliens position themselves and shook his head. "They're making this too easy," he reported to Admiral Carter. "They're showing us exactly where every ship is positioned." "Perfect," Admiral Carter replied. "Our targeting computers already have firing solutions for their entire fleet." The Zephyrians began their descent toward Earth's solar system. Their ships moved slowly and deliberately, giving Earth plenty of time to see them coming. This was psychological warfare. The aliens wanted humans to feel helpless as the massive fleet approached. Thex-9 stood on his bridge, watching Earth grow larger on the main screen. "Such a beautiful world," he said. "It will make an excellent addition to our empire." "When do we expect their surrender?" asked Vex-4. "Most species surrender when we reach their outer atmosphere," Thex-9 replied. "But these humans seem particularly stubborn. We may have to destroy a few cities before they accept the inevitable." What Thex-9 didn't know was that humans had been preparing for this moment for 50 years. Every approach vector the aliens might use had been planned for. Every weapon they possessed had been analyzed. Every defensive position had been prepared. Captain Stevens continued monitoring the alien fleet from her hidden ship. "They're following the exact attack pattern we predicted," she reported to Earth Command. "Formation Delta 7, just like they used on the Centauri colonies." "Copy that, Silent Guardian," came Admiral Carter's voice. "All defense platforms are online and ready. All stealth ships are in position. Operation Revelation begins in 6 hours." The Zephyrian fleet reached the outer edge of Earth's solar system. Thex-9 looked at the primitive planet ahead and felt the satisfaction of another certain victory. His species had been conquering worlds for 1,000 years. This would be no different. "Begin final approach," he commanded. "Let these humans see their doom approaching." The 15,000 alien warships moved toward Earth, confident in their overwhelming numerical advantage. They had no idea they were flying into the most sophisticated trap in galactic history. In just a few hours, the hunters would become the hunted, and the Zephyrian Empire would learn that some prey bites back. The first wave of Zephyrian ships entered Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. 500 of their fastest vessels descended through the clouds, their hulls glowing from atmospheric friction. Supreme War Commander Thex-9 watched from his flagship with satisfaction. Everything was going exactly as planned. "Vanguard force has penetrated the primitive atmosphere," reported Subcommander Vex-4. "No resistance detected. Their defense satellites are not even targeting us." "As expected," Thex-9 replied. "These humans know they cannot win. Perhaps they will surrender without forcing us to destroy their cities." 100 kilometers above Earth's surface, the alien ships spread out in attack formation. Their plasma cannons powered up, ready to begin the bombardment that would force humanity to surrender. It was the same tactic they had used on hundreds of worlds. In the hidden command center beneath the Swiss Alps, Major Chris Adams watched the alien ships on his tactical display. He was a young officer with steady hands and ice-cold nerves. This was the moment he had trained for his entire career. "All defense platforms report ready," announced the tactical officer. "Target acquisition complete," reported the weapons officer. "We have firing solutions on all 500 alien vessels." Major Adams looked at Admiral Carter on the main screen. She nodded once. "Execute Operation Revelation," Major Adams said calmly. Above Earth, what the aliens thought were simple communication satellites suddenly revealed their true nature. The innocent-looking devices unfolded like deadly flowers, exposing advanced weapon systems that had been hidden for decades. "What are those?" Vex 4 asked in confusion as he watched the satellites transform. Before Thex 9 could answer, the sky erupted in invisible death. Quantum lance beams, invisible to Zephyrian sensors, lanced out from the disguised defense platforms. The beams moved at the speed of light and struck the alien ships with devastating accuracy. Each beam was designed to disrupt matter at the molecular level, tearing apart any substance it touched. The lead Zephyrian ship, the heavy cruiser World Breaker, was struck by 3 quantum lances simultaneously. The alien crew had exactly enough time to realize something was wrong before their ship simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, the next moment it was a cloud of scattered atoms. "Target destroyed," announced the weapons officer with professional calm. "Next target," Major Adams replied. Dr. Amy Rodriguez watched the engagement from the monitoring station, her instruments tracking every detail. She was a scientist, not a soldier, but she understood the significance of what she was witnessing. "The alien shields are completely useless," she reported to Admiral Carter. "Their energy barriers are designed to stop plasma and particle weapons. Our quantum technology passes right through them like they don't exist." On the main tactical display, reds representing alien ships began disappearing at an alarming rate. Each that vanished represented a warship the size of a city and a crew of thousands. They were being destroyed faster than the human computers could count. 60 ships destroyed, announced the tactical officer. 100 ships destroyed. 150 ships destroyed. Supreme War Commander Thex 9 stared at his display in horror. His vanguard force was being slaughtered, and he couldn't even see what was killing them. "Report," he shouted. "What is happening down there?" "Unknown, Supreme War Commander," Vex 4 replied, his voice shaking. "Our ships are being destroyed, but we cannot detect any weapons fire. Sensors show no hostile activity from the planet's surface." "That's impossible. The primitives don't have weapons that can reach orbit." 200 ships destroyed, came another report from a terrified officer. Thex 9 had conquered 847 worlds, but he had never seen anything like this. Ships were simply vanishing from his tactical display. In less than 3 minutes, he had lost half of his vanguard force, and he still didn't know what was attacking them. "All ships, retreat to safe distance," Thex 9 commanded. But the human defense platforms were not finished. As the surviving alien ships tried to escape back into space, more satellites revealed themselves. What had appeared to be weather monitoring stations unfolded into massive railguns. What looked like GPS satellites deployed particle beam arrays. The entire network of devices orbiting Earth transformed into a coordinated weapons system. 300 ships destroyed, reported the tactical officer. 400 ships destroyed. Major Adams watched the slaughter with grim satisfaction. Earth's defense grid was performing exactly as designed. Decades of preparation and hidden construction were paying off in the most decisive military victory in human history. "Sir," announced the communications officer, "the aliens are trying to retreat." "Negative," Major Adams replied. "No survivors. We want the rest of their fleet to see exactly what happened here." The quantum lance beams reached out again, picking off the fleeing alien ships one by one. The weapons were so precise that they could target individual ships in a crowded formation without hitting anything nearby. Dr. Rodriguez continued her analysis. "Their armor is completely ineffective," she reported. "The quantum disruption field breaks down the atomic bonds holding their hull material together. It doesn't matter how thick their armor is." 450 ships destroyed. 480 ships destroyed. On the Zephyrian flagship, panic had replaced confidence. Officers ran back and forth, trying to understand how their unstoppable vanguard had been annihilated by a supposedly primitive planet. "Sir," reported the sensor officer, "only 15 ships remain of the vanguard force." Thex 9 could not believe what he was hearing. He had sent 500 of his best ships against a world that barely had spaceflight capability. Now only 15 were left. "How is this possible?" he whispered. 500 ships destroyed, announced the human tactical officer. Vanguard force completely eliminated. The engagement had lasted exactly 2 minutes and 47 seconds. Not a single human life had been lost. Not a single human weapon had been damaged. The most advanced alien attack force had been swept from the sky like insects. In the command center, Admiral Carter opened a communication channel to all human forces. Phase 1 complete, she announced. All defense platforms performed flawlessly. Prepare for Phase 2. The main alien fleet will undoubtedly attack now. Let's show them what happens when they threaten Earth. Major Adams looked at his tactical display, which now showed only empty space where 500 alien ships had been moments before. Defense platforms recharging for next engagement, he reported. Ready to engage main force on your command. Supreme War Commander Thex 9 stared at his empty tactical screen in shock. His Vanguard force had simply ceased to exist. 500 ships, gone without even damaging a single human satellite. For the first time in his 40-year military career, Thex 9 felt fear. He was no longer hunting primitive prey. He had walked into a trap set by predators far more dangerous than anything he had ever encountered. The human message was clear. Earth was not a helpless world waiting to be conquered. It was a fortress defended by technology beyond Zephyrian understanding. The hunters had become the hunted, and the real battle was about to begin. Supreme War Commander Thex 9 paced back and forth on his bridge, his clawed hands clenched in frustration. The complete destruction of his Vanguard force had shaken him badly. In 40 years of conquest, he had never lost a single ship to primitive species. Now he had lost 500 in less than 3 minutes. Pull back to minimum safe distance, he ordered. We need to reassess the situation. Subcommander Vex 4 looked nervous. Supreme War Commander, perhaps we should contact the home world for reinforcements? No. Thex 9 snarled. I will not report failure to the High Command. These primitives got lucky with some hidden weapons. We will adjust our tactics and crush them. What Thex 9 didn't know was that Colonel Danny Parker had been waiting for exactly this moment. From his command station on the hidden orbital platform Thunderstrike, Parker watched the alien fleet retreat to what they thought was a safe distance. Admiral Carter, Parker reported over the secure channel, the main alien force has moved to long range. They're holding position at approximately 50,000 kilometers from Earth. Perfect, Admiral Carter replied. They think they're safe out there. Time to show them how wrong they are. Colonel, activate shockwave protocol. Yes, ma'am, Parker replied with a grin. Initiating Project Shockwave. Colonel Parker had been working on gravitational wave weapons for 15 years. The technology was based on alien artifacts found on Mars, but human engineers had improved it far beyond the original design. The weapons could reach across vast distances and literally tear apart enemy ships at the molecular level. All shockwave stations report ready, announced his weapons officer. Target the center of their formation first, Parker ordered. Let's get their attention. Hidden throughout the solar system, disguised as asteroids and space debris, dozens of gravitational wave generators began charging up. The aliens had no idea these weapons existed because no other species in the galaxy had ever developed them. On the Zephyrian flagship, Thex 9 was meeting with his senior officers, trying to plan their next attack. Perhaps we should use the planet killer weapon immediately, suggested Subcommander Vex 4. End this quickly before they can surprise us again. No, Thex 9 replied. We need this world intact for colonization. We'll use overwhelming numbers. Send 2,000 ships in the next wave. Even their hidden weapons cannot destroy that many vessels. That was when the gravitational waves hit. The first weapon discharged from a generator hidden behind Jupiter's largest moon. Gravitational waves traveled at the speed of light and could not be detected by conventional sensors. The waves reached the Zephyrian fleet and began warping space-time around their ships. What's happening? Vex 4 shouted as the flagship began shaking violently. Thex 9 looked at his tactical display and watched in horror as ships in the center of his formation simply came apart. The gravitational waves were stretching and compressing space itself, ripping the alien vessels into pieces. We're under attack, screamed the sensor officer. but I cannot detect the source. Evasive maneuvers. Vex-9 commanded. But there was nowhere to run. The gravitational wave generators had been positioned throughout the solar system specifically to prevent escape. As the alien ships tried to flee, more hidden weapons activated. Captain Melissa Foster commanded the stealth destroyer, Ghost Rider, hidden among the asteroid belt. She had been waiting for this moment for hours, watching the alien fleet through her ship's advanced sensors. All stealth ships, this is Ghost Rider, she announced on the tactical channel. Time to reveal ourselves. Decloak on my mark. Throughout the solar system, human ships that had been completely invisible suddenly appeared on alien sensors. The Zephyrians discovered that they were surrounded by a fleet they never knew existed. Impossible. Vex-9 gasped as hundreds of human warships materialized around his force. Where did they come from? The human ships were beautiful and deadly, with smooth hulls that seemed to absorb light. They moved with incredible speed and grace, far outpacing anything in the Zephyrian fleet. Ghost Rider to all ships, Captain Foster announced. Weapons free. Show them what human engineering can do. The human fleet opened fire with weapons the aliens had never seen before. Quantum torpedoes that phased through shields and armor. Particle beams that could cut through a ship from bow to stern. Plasma cannons that burned hotter than the core of a star. We're being slaughtered. Vex-4 reported as alien ships exploded all around them. Vex-9 watched his carefully planned invasion turn into a nightmare. His ships were being destroyed faster than his officers could report the losses. Human weapons were cutting through his fleet like it was made of paper. Deploy the planet killer, he shouted desperately. Fire it at their world. The Zephyrian flagship's main weapon was designed to crack planets in half. It was their ultimate tool of intimidation, the weapon that forced entire species to surrender. The massive energy cannon began charging up. In Earth's command center, Dr. Amy Rodriguez detected the energy buildup immediately. Admiral, they're charging their planet killer weapon, she reported. Let them, Admiral Carter replied calmly. It won't do them any good. The alien weapon fired, sending a beam of pure destruction toward Earth. The energy was enough to shatter a moon, and it should have turned Earth into a cloud of debris. Instead, the beam passed harmlessly through the planet as if Earth wasn't there. Dimensional phase shields activated, reported the defensive systems officer. Planet killer beam had no effect. On the alien flagship, Vex-9 stared in disbelief as his ultimate weapon failed completely. How, he whispered. The planet killer has destroyed hundreds of worlds. How did they survive it? The truth was that Earth's dimensional phase technology allowed the entire planet to exist slightly outside normal spacetime. Enemy weapons simply passed through without causing any damage. It was the ultimate defensive system, and humanity had been perfecting it for decades. Captain Foster's ship swooped through the alien formation, her weapons tearing apart everything in range. The Zephyrian ships were too slow to track her movements and too weak to damage her shields. This is too easy, reported her tactical officer. Their weapons can't even scratch our hull. Stay focused, Foster replied. We want to capture some of them alive for intelligence purposes. Colonel Parker's gravitational wave weapons continued their devastating work. Entire sections of the alien fleet were being ripped apart by warped spacetime. Ships that had conquered hundreds of worlds were being destroyed without their crews even understanding what was killing them. Admiral, Parker reported, alien fleet strength is down to 60% and falling rapidly. They're in complete disarray. Good, Admiral Carter replied. Begin capture operations. We need prisoners for questioning. Human ships began using tractor beams to disable alien vessels instead of destroying them. The technology was so advanced that the aliens couldn't break free or fight back. Vex-9 realized that his mighty fleet was being toyed with. The humans could have destroyed every ship in minutes, but they were choosing to capture some vessels instead. It was the ultimate humiliation. All ships retreat, he commanded. Full speed back to Zephyrian space. But his navigation officer had terrible news. Sir, we cannot escape. They have some kind of gravity field holding us in place. The humans had activated a system-wide gravitational net. No ship could leave the solar system without permission. The Zephyrian Empire's greatest fleet was trapped, helpless against technology they couldn't understand. In less than 1 hour, humanity had turned a massive alien invasion into a complete rout. The hunters had become the prey, and the slaughter was only just beginning. Supreme War Commander Thex 9 sat in his command chair, staring at the tactical display in complete shock. His fleet of 15,000 ships had been reduced to less than 8,000 in just 2 hours. The humans were not just winning, they were playing with his forces like a cat plays with mice. "Sir," reported his communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from the primitive planet." "Put it on screen," Thex 9 commanded, though his voice had lost all its earlier confidence. The main display showed a human woman in a crisp military uniform. Admiral Carter looked directly at Thex 9 with calm, steady eyes. "This is Admiral Lisa Carter of Earth Defense Command," she began. "You are now prisoners of war. Surrender immediately, and you will be treated according to galactic law. Continue fighting, and we will destroy every last ship in your fleet." Thex 9 found his voice. "You cannot defeat the Zephyrian Empire. We have conquered 847 worlds. Our technology is superior to any primitive species." Admiral Carter smiled coldly. "Commander, your technology is approximately 200 years behind ours. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Your sensors cannot detect our ships. Your engines are too slow to escape our gravity nets. You never had a chance." The transmission ended, leaving Thex 9 staring at a blank screen. Meanwhile, Admiral Bobby Chen was implementing what human strategists called the Mercy Protocol. Instead of simply destroying the remaining alien ships, Earth forces began systematically disabling them for capture and study. Chen had started his career as an engineer before becoming a military commander. He understood the value of studying alien technology, even primitive alien technology. "Use the neural disruptors on their command ships," Chen ordered. "Disable their crews without killing them. We need prisoners for questioning." The neural disruptors were another technology based on the Mars discoveries. They could render entire crews unconscious without causing permanent harm. To the aliens, it looked like their people were simply falling asleep at their stations. "Ghost Rider, this is Admiral Chen," he transmitted to Captain Foster's ship. "Begin boarding operations on disabled vessels. I want their computers intact and their senior officers alive." "Copy that, Admiral," Foster replied. "Launching boarding pods now." The human boarding pods were marvels of engineering, capable of cutting through any known hull material and protecting their occupants from virtually any weapon. They attached to alien ships like barnacles and began cutting their way inside. Thex 9 watched helplessly as human soldiers invaded his ships. His crew's weapons were useless against the human armor. Their energy weapons bounced off harmlessly, and their physical projectiles couldn't even scratch the human suits. "How is this possible?" he asked Subcommander Vex 4. These humans were supposed to be primitive. What Thex 9 didn't know was that humanity had been preparing for galactic contact for 50 years. Every possible alien technology had been studied and countered. Every tactical scenario had been planned for. The Zephyrian invasion was following human predictions almost exactly. Captain Helen Torres led the interrogation team that boarded Thex 9's flagship. She was a former intelligence officer who spoke 17 alien languages. Her job was to learn everything possible about Zephyrian capabilities and intentions. "Secure the bridge," she ordered her team. "I want their commander alive and their computers intact." The human soldiers moved through the alien ship with practiced efficiency. Their armor made them immune to Zephyrian weapons, and their own weapons could cut through any barrier. Within minutes, they had control of the entire vessel. Thex 9 found himself staring at Captain Torres through the transparent aluminum of his command chair, which had somehow been encased in an energy field. "Supreme War Commander Thex 9, Torres said in perfect Zephyrian language, "You are now a prisoner of Earth Defense Command. You will be treated well if you cooperate." "You speak our language?" Thex 9 asked in surprise. "We've been monitoring your communications for years," Torres replied. We know about your empire, your conquests, and your methods. We also know that you're not the real threat. What do you mean? Torres consulted her data pad. Your empire controls 847 worlds, but you've never faced serious resistance because most galactic species are even more primitive than you are. You've been bullying children, Commander. Today you met the adults. While Torres questioned the alien commander, human technicians were downloading the contents of every Zephyrian computer they could find. The data revealed the locations of alien worlds, the strength of their military, and their future expansion plans. Dr. Kevin Hayes studied the alien files with growing amazement. Admiral Carter, you need to see this, he reported from the analysis center. What did you find, Doctor? Carter asked. The Zephyrians aren't lying about conquering 847 worlds, Hayes replied. But look at the species they've defeated. Most of them are still using chemical rockets and nuclear weapons. A few have basic energy weapons. None of them have anything approaching our level of technology. Admiral Carter nodded grimly. So they're used to fighting primitives. Exactly. The entire galactic community is essentially stuck in what we would consider early 21st century technology. We're not just ahead of the Zephyrians, we're ahead of everyone. This revelation changed everything. Humanity had assumed they would be the primitive species when they encountered alien civilizations. Instead, they discovered they were the most technologically advanced species in the galaxy. Back on the Zephyrian flagship, Captain Torres continued her interrogation. Tell me about your home world, she said to Thex-9. I will tell you nothing, he replied defiantly. Torres shrugged. We already have your navigation computers. We know exactly where Zephyria is located. We know the strength of your home fleet. We know your population centers and industrial facilities. Thex-9's confidence crumbled. What do you want from us? Information about other hostile species, Torres replied. You mentioned conquering 847 worlds. We want to know which species might threaten peaceful civilizations in the future. Why do you care about other species? Torres looked at him seriously. Because humanity doesn't conquer worlds, Commander. We protect them. The age of galactic bullying is over. While the interrogations continued, Admiral Chin received an urgent message from Earth's long-range sensors. Admiral, reported the communications officer, we're detecting massive energy signatures in the Zephyrian home system. Show me, Chin ordered. The tactical display revealed a horrifying sight. The Zephyrian homeworld was under attack by human ships that had somehow reached their system in the time it had taken Thex-9's fleet to approach Earth. How is this possible? Chun wondered aloud. Admiral Carter appeared on his communication screen. Bobby, meet me in the briefing room. There are things about our capabilities that even you don't know. In the briefing room, Admiral Carter revealed the final secret. We didn't just develop faster-than-light travel, she explained. We developed instantaneous travel. Our ships can reach any point in the galaxy immediately. Chun stared at her in amazement. You mean? While the Zephyrians were approaching Earth, we sent a task force to neutralize their home fleet, Carter continued. Their entire military has been destroyed. Their empire no longer exists. The implications were staggering. In the time it had taken the aliens to mount one invasion, humanity had ended their entire civilization as a military power. Captain Torres returned to the briefing room with her initial intelligence report. The galactic situation is worse than we thought, she announced. There are 17 aggressive species currently engaged in conquest campaigns. Between them, they're threatening hundreds of peaceful worlds. Admiral Carter stood up. Then we have work to do. Humanity's first contact with the galaxy won't be as victims or conquerors. We'll be liberators. The Zephyrian invasion had failed completely. But more importantly, it had revealed that humanity was not just another species struggling for survival. They were the new dominant power in the galaxy, and they intended to use that power to protect the innocent. The news spread across the galaxy faster than anyone thought possible. Within hours of the Zephyrian fleet's destruction, every major alien civilization knew that something extraordinary had happened in a distant star system called Sol. Ambassador Tony Wright sat in his office aboard Earth's first official diplomatic vessel, the Peacemaker. He had been a career diplomat for 20 years, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. His job was to introduce humanity to galactic civilization, but not as a new species seeking acceptance. Instead, he was announcing the arrival of the galaxy's new dominant power. "Sir," reported his communications officer, "we're receiving over 400 first contact requests from various alien governments. They all want to establish diplomatic relations immediately." Wright smiled. Fear is a powerful motivator. These species spent years ignoring human radio signals when they thought we were primitive. Now they're practically begging to talk to us. The Peacemaker was humanity's most advanced diplomatic ship, equipped with technology that could travel between star systems in seconds. Wright's mission was to visit the major galactic powers and explain the new reality. His first stop was the Alterian Confederation, a peaceful alliance of 17 species that had been under constant threat from aggressive neighbors. The Alterian capital world was a beautiful planet with crystal cities and floating gardens. Chancellor Kethmore, the Alterian leader, met Wright at the spaceport personally. The tall, blue-skinned alien looked nervous as he approached the human ambassador. "Ambassador Wright," Chancellor Kethmore began in careful English, "we welcome you to Altaria. We have heard disturbing reports about the fate of the Zephyrian fleet." "I assume you mean the reports that they were completely destroyed?" Wright replied calmly. "Is it true? Did humanity really eliminate 15,000 warships without losing a single vessel?" Wright nodded. "It's true. The Zephyrian Empire no longer exists as a military power. Their home fleet was also destroyed, and their occupied worlds are being liberated by human forces." Chancellor Kethmore's large eyes widened in amazement. But how? The Zephyrians were one of the most advanced military powers in this galaxy sector. "With respect, Chancellor, the Zephyrians were 200 years behind human technology. Most galactic species appear to be at a similar level. We've been studying your civilizations for decades through your own communications." Wright activated a holographic display showing human ships and weapons. The technology was so advanced that the Alterian leader could barely understand what he was seeing. "This is impossible," Chancellor Kethmore whispered. "How did a species develop such capabilities so quickly?" "Humanity has been spacefaring for much longer than we've admitted publicly," Wright explained. "We've been preparing for galactic contact while maintaining the appearance of a primitive world." Chancellor Kethmore sat down heavily in his chair. "What does this mean for the rest of us? For peaceful species like the Altarians?" "It means protection," Wright replied. "Humanity has no interest in conquest or domination. We want to establish trade relationships and mutual defense agreements with friendly civilizations." The news of humanity's revelations spread even faster after Wright's diplomatic visits. On the former Zephyrian colony world of Theros, 5, the native population watched in amazement as human ships arrived to liberate them. Captain Steve Johnson commanded the Liberation Fleet that descended on Theros, 5. His ships were met by crowds of celebrating aliens who had suffered under Zephyrian rule for 30 years. "This is incredible," reported his tactical officer. "The natives are actually cheering for us. They're treating us like heroes." "That's because we are heroes to them," Johnson replied. "These people have been slaves for 3 decades. We're giving them their freedom back." The liberation of Theros, 5 was broadcast across the galaxy by human communication networks that operated faster than any known technology. Other species watched in amazement as humanity systematically freed every world that had been conquered by the Zephyrians. Dr. Patricia Moore led the scientific team responsible for sharing human technology with peaceful alien species. She had been chosen for this role because of her expertise in cross-species communication and her patient teaching methods. "We're not going to dump advanced technology on unprepared civilizations," Dr. Moore explained to her team. "We'll share knowledge gradually, helping them develop the scientific understanding needed to use it safely." Her first project was working with the Centauri Research Institute, a group of scientists from 12 different species who had been collaborating on faster-than-light travel for over a century. "Dr. Moore," said Professor Velneth, a reptilian scientist from the Draconis system, "our calculations suggest that faster-than-light travel should be impossible." How do humans achieve it? Dr. Morse smiled patiently. Your physics models are incomplete. You're missing several fundamental principles about space-time manipulation. Let me show you the mathematical framework we use. She began explaining concepts that were far beyond anything the alien scientists had imagined. Dimensional folding, quantum tunneling, and temporal mechanics were completely new ideas to them. This is revolutionary, whispered Professor Kaxum, an insectoid researcher. If these principles are correct, they would change everything we know about the universe. They are correct, Dr. Moore confirmed. And humanity is willing to share this knowledge with species that use it peacefully. Meanwhile, the former Zephyrian Supreme War Commander Thex 9 was adapting to life as a refugee on Earth. The human government had offered sanctuary to all Zephyrian military personnel who renounced their empire's aggressive policies. Thex 9 now worked in a human research facility, helping scientists understand Zephyrian technology and culture. It was humbling work for someone who had once commanded the galaxy's largest invasion fleet. The humans treat us better than we treated our own conquered populations, he admitted to his former second-in-command, Vex 4. They could have executed us all, but instead they're giving us new lives. I still don't understand how they became so powerful, Vex 4 replied. Their planet showed no signs of advanced technology when we first detected it. Dr. Kevin Hayes, who was supervising the Zephyrian integration program, overheard their conversation. That was intentional, he explained. Humanity learned early that the galaxy was full of aggressive species. We decided to develop our technology in secret until we were strong enough to protect ourselves and others. But how did you advance so quickly? Vex 9 asked. We found some ancient technology on Mars that gave us a starting point, Hayes replied. But most of our advancement came from human ingenuity and determination. We refuse to accept that something is impossible. The revelation of humanity's capabilities had completely changed galactic politics. Species that had been enemies for centuries were now working together, united by their shared realization that they were all equally primitive compared to human technology. The Regelian Empire, which had been planning to attack the Altarian Confederation, immediately called off their invasion and requested a peace conference. The Andromedan Syndicate abandoned their plans to strip mine inhabited worlds. Even the notorious Void Hunters, pirates who had terrorized shipping lanes for decades, surrendered to human authorities. Ambassador Wright received a communication from the Galactic Trade Council, an organization he had never heard of before. Ambassador Wright, said the Council's representative, a crystalline being called Flux 7. We would like to formally invite humanity to join the Galactic Trade Council as a founding member. I thought the council already existed, Wright replied. It did, but we're dissolving the old organization and creating a new one based on human principles of peaceful cooperation and mutual benefit. Would humanity be interested in leading this new alliance? Wright considered the offer carefully. We'll join as equal members, not leaders. Humanity believes in cooperation, not domination. Within months of the failed Zephyrian invasion, the entire structure of galactic civilization had changed. Wars ended, trade flourished, and species that had never cooperated before began working together on joint projects. The galaxy had learned a simple lesson. Humanity was not just another species struggling for survival. They were the new guardians of galactic peace, and their message was clear. The age of conquest and aggression was over. 6 months after the failed Zephyrian invasion, President Catherine Webb stood before the United Nations General Assembly in New York. But this was not the same UN that had existed before first contact. The assembly now included representatives from 47 alien species, all eager to establish relationships with humanity. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all species, President Webb began. 6 months ago, humanity revealed itself to the galaxy under the worst possible circumstances, during an attempted invasion of our home world. Today, I want to speak about our vision for the future. The Great Hall was filled with an incredible variety of alien life forms. Some were humanoid, others were completely different from anything Earth had ever produced. All of them listened carefully to every word the human president spoke. Humanity did not seek to become the galaxy's dominant power. Webb continued. We developed our technology in secret to protect ourselves. But with great power comes great responsibility. We will use our capabilities to protect peaceful civilizations and prevent aggressive species from threatening innocent worlds. In the audience, former Supreme War Commander Thex 9 listened with interest. He now served as an advisor to the newly formed Galactic Protection Council. His knowledge of aggressive species throughout the galaxy had proven invaluable in identifying threats to peaceful worlds. The human approach is completely different from anything the galaxy has seen before, Thex 9 whispered to Dr. Kevin Hayes, who sat beside him. Most powerful species use their strength to conquer others. Humans use their strength to protect others. Dr. Hayes nodded. That's what makes us different. We learned from studying galactic history. Empires built on conquest always fall eventually. Alliances built on cooperation last forever. President Webb activated a holographic display showing the current galactic situation. In the past 6 months, human forces have liberated 847 worlds from Zephyrian occupation. We have also intervened in 12 other conflicts, preventing aggressive species from attacking peaceful neighbors. The display showed human ships throughout the galaxy, not as an occupying force, but as peacekeepers. Each intervention had been quick and decisive, with minimal casualties and immediate restoration of local government. Our policy is simple, Webb explained. We will not tolerate aggression against peaceful species. Any civilization that attempts to conquer others will face immediate intervention by human forces. Admiral Jake Morrison, recently promoted after his role in detecting the original Zephyrian fleet, now commanded humanity's Galactic Defense Force. His headquarters was located on New Geneva Orbital Station, a massive facility that served as the coordination center for human peacekeeping operations. Admiral, reported his tactical officer, we're receiving a distress call from the Kepler system. The Void Hunters are attacking civilian shipping again. Morrison sighed. Some species were slow learners. The Void Hunters had been warned twice already to stop their piracy operations. Apparently, they needed a more direct lesson. Dispatch Task Force 7, Morrison ordered. Standard peacekeeping protocols. Disable their ships, capture their crews, and escort the civilian vessels to safety. Yes, sir. Task Force 7 reports they can reach the Kepler system in 47 minutes. Morrison smiled. Human ships could travel across the galaxy faster than most species could cross their own solar systems. This gave humanity an incredible advantage in responding to threats. Meanwhile, on Mars, human scientists were making an incredible discovery. The ancient alien ruins that had provided the foundation for human technology were much more extensive than anyone had realized. Dr. Patricia Moore led the archaeological team that was exploring the newly discovered chambers deep beneath the Martian polar ice. This is incredible, she told her team as they entered a vast underground complex. These ruins are over 5 million years old, but the technology is still functional. The team's flashlights illuminated walls covered with symbols and devices that defied explanation. At the center of the chamber stood a massive crystalline structure that pulsed with inner light. What do you think it is? Asked Dr. Rodriguez, the team's xenoarchaeologist. I think it's a database, Moore replied. A record of the species that built this place. When they activated the crystal, holographic images filled the chamber. The team watched in amazement as the history of an ancient civilization unfolded before them. They called themselves the Forerunners, Moore translated from the alien symbols. They were the first species in this galaxy to achieve advanced spaceflight. They explored every star system, cataloged every world, and established a peaceful galactic civilization. What happened to them? Rodriguez asked. Moore continued reading the alien records. They evolved beyond physical existence. Before they left, they hid their technology on various worlds, hoping that future species would find it and use it wisely. The implications were staggering. Humanity had not just stumbled upon alien technology, they had been chosen by an ancient civilization to be the inheritors of their legacy. There's more, Moore announced. According to these records, there are Forerunner facilities on dozens of worlds throughout the galaxy. They've been waiting for a species advanced enough to find and understand them. Back on Earth, Captain Charlie Watson was preparing for humanity's most ambitious mission yet. He would command the first human exploration fleet to travel beyond the Milky Way galaxy, seeking new challenges and new civilizations in distant galaxies. The Andromeda Galaxy is our first destination, Watson explained to his crew. Our mission is to establish contact with whatever civilizations exist there and offer them the same protection we provide in our own galaxy. His ship, the Starfire, was humanity's most advanced vessel, incorporating technology from the Forerunner ruins with human innovations. It was capable of traveling between galaxies in a matter of days. "Sir," reported his science officer, "long-range sensors are detecting massive energy signatures in the Andromeda Galaxy. There are definitely advanced civilizations there." "Good," Watson replied. "Let's go introduce ourselves." As the Starfire departed for Andromeda, President Webb concluded her address to the United Nations. "Humanity's role in the galaxy is not to rule, but to serve," she said. "We will protect the weak, defend the innocent, and ensure that no species suffers under the boot of aggressive conquerors. This is our promise to the galaxy." The alien representatives erupted in applause. For the first time in galactic history, they'd found a powerful species that used its strength to help others rather than dominate them. Former War Commander Thex 9 approached President Webb after the assembly ended. "President Webb," he said, "I have served under many rulers in my lifetime. Most of them were tyrants who ruled through fear. You are the first leader I have met who rules through respect." "We don't rule anyone," Webb replied. "We serve everyone." Thex 9 shook his head in amazement. "That is why humanity will succeed where every other galactic power has failed. You understand that true strength comes from protecting others, not conquering them." As news of humanity's expanded role spread throughout the galaxy, more species requested membership in the new Galactic Protection Alliance. Within a year, over 200 civilizations had joined the organization, all united under human protection and guidance. The age of galactic warfare was ending. The age of galactic cooperation had begun. And at the center of it all stood humanity, not as conquerors or rulers, but as guardians and protectors of all peaceful life in the universe. The Zephyrian invasion had been intended to destroy humanity. Instead, it had revealed humanity's true nature to the galaxy. They were not victims waiting to be conquered. They were protectors waiting to serve. And the galaxy would never be the same again.